So that tom-tom sound you might hear in the background is not a poorly executed Boy Scout drum circle. We got about 4 inches of snow this morning and things are melting, and I have a drain pipe just outside that wall, so that's what you're hearing. So that aside, and then the 2 earthquakes we had this morning, I'm going to try to get through another episode of Utah ADV. Thanks for joining me. So I've looked at the metrics on the YouTube channel, and it looks like I need to make shorter videos and better quality videos because a number of you viewers are bouncing pretty quickly, getting out. So I'm going to try to do that with this one, though I have a lot of content to get through. But let's see how it unfolds. First off, though, I talked about the Schaefer Trail in the last video, and you need to know that any trip you make to Moab, regardless of the time of year, you need to have a lot of water with you, but especially during the summertime. And you know what? I wouldn't recommend going during the summertime, even though that's when I went. I went in early June. And that being the case, I came across temperatures over 100 degrees. I was making my way down Potash Road. So make sure you got plenty of water with you. I keep a Camelback going on. And then I have a couple of bladders that I keep on the bike as well for extra water when I get into camp, along with a water filter, that kind of thing. So bring lots of water as it goes. In the tool episode, I talked about a motorcycle air pump that I keep on, and that I was going to receive one from Moto Pumps, and it came today, and I got this, and I really like this a lot because it's all self-contained in the box. Here, the hose itself is inside this compartment, and on the back then is the power cord that plugs into my bike's 12-volt system. It has a little pressure meter up here on top as well, nicely compact, contained. They threw in a little bit of motopumps.com swag in that I can put that into, but this will actually Velcro to the top of one of my pannier lids as that goes. So like it a lot. So today I told you I was going to talk about 2 things. One was going to be the REI FlexLite Chair. It's what the Australians call a Joey chair. I think that's kind of where it originated from. And like rooftop tents and everything Australian, it kind of caught on fire here in the United States. What's really cool about this is it sets up really quick. It has a nice mesh seat to keep you cool and from overheating within that. This particular one's made by REI there. And it has this elastic attached skeleton that folds up nice and compact, as you saw in the bag when I first showed this to you. I weigh 240 pounds. It holds me without any groaning or moaning, and it's quite comfortable. It's something that I can relax in, so a great piece of kit to have. That's the last thing on this right side pannier that I have in there, but I told you I was going to talk about this today. When I did the Schaefer Trail, I kind of did a southeastern Utah loop, so I came around to the Valley of the Gods. I didn't do Monument Valley because it's really not a rider's place there. It's more of an RVer's place, so you might want to avoid that if you're thinking about Monument Valley. You can do a motorcycle ride through there, but there's really nothing. It's all controlled, and there's nothing that you can get as far as off-road or dispersed camping or anything along that line. Valley of the Gods, entirely different story, and it's very much worth the trip. And worth camping out there as well. I've camped out there before in our overland vehicle. I just didn't do it on this trip because I had some miles to make up. After Valley of the Gods, I went up Moki Dugway, and then from Moki Dugway, I went to Hall's Crossing, and at Hall's Crossing, it's on Lake Powell. There's a ferry crossing at that point that takes you over to Bullfrog. And from Bullfrog is when just outside of Bullfrog, or just outside of Glen Canyon National Park, I was able to hook up onto the BLM 21,000, I think it is. And from there, which is the Burr Trail. And from that point on, it was about 78 miles of paved road until the road goes into dirt as you enter back into the park itself. And from that point on, well, actually every mile was really quite spectacular. So much so that I really didn't stop to take any pictures. I was just kind of drinking it all in. By the time I reached the Burr Trail Switchbacks, it was already getting to about 100 degrees. So I kind of wanted to push through that part and get on up to Boulder Mountain, where I knew the temperatures would be a little bit cooler. The switchbacks themselves aren't too bad. There is one section there, and maybe there are more now, who knows, where it got quite sandy to the point to where the Triumph actually got mired into the sand. and I stalled it out. And I was on such an incline going up that I had to act pretty quickly. I fired the Triumph back up. I stuck it in the second gear and then throttled it out of the sand and then made the rest of the trip up those switchbacks. At the top, you leave the Capitol Reef National Park, and then it eventually hits into some pavement, and that comes into, I think, one of Utah's best kept secrets, and that's the road that goes from that point right on to Boulder, meeting up Highway 12, which also is one of Utah's best kept secrets. Highway 12, I think, to me as a motorcycle rider, is the same thing as the PCH is in California. It's a spectacular ride, and I'll cover more of that later on in other episodes. Up on top of Boulder Mountain, I went to Oak Creek Campground, and the temperatures were in the mid-70s, found a nice spot, set it up, and continued listening to one of my favorite books called Jupiter's Travels. So that was the Burr Trail Switchbacks. I had a reader, Trent, who asked me about what kind of electric gear or heated gear that I might use, and so I promised maybe a quick review about that on this episode. The heated gear that I use is made by HotWired. I have a jacket that has coils that run through the whole jacket and vest area and then down the sleeves. The jacket has a thermostat on it that you can activate, and then it has 3 different settings on that to go through and kind of control. I use it on the lowest setting because, man, this thing works well, and it'll bake you. The gloves are semi-armored here with leather pads. That way, I'm not sure how well they would hold up in an off-road slide kind of thing. They're cuffed, and the cuffs have this strap that keeps any cold air from going inside there. And if you can see it, it has a switch. Each glove has a switch, and the gloves as well have 3 settings as far as the heat goes. Love the gloves. Nothing for me is more uncomfortable than having cold hands while I'm riding, so they do a good job in doing that. The jacket, it does okay. The arms not quite so much, but it might be asking a lot when you're riding at about 16, 17 degrees, which is where I've been riding with these. So, Trent, I hope that helps answer your question and helps to make up your mind about maybe going this route. I'll be sure to put a link in where you could find this HotWired product down in the comments below. And that takes care of it for Utah ADV for this episode. On the next one, I'm going to get into the other pannier and get into some gear reviews. And there's a lot of gear in there, some things that you might even find surprising. So, hope to see you on that episode. And please leave your comments below, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I appreciate you biding this time with me during this particular time. Just, wow.